Hey, everybody, welcome back. And guess what? Home sales are absolutely getting harder to close because sellers are making one super critical mistake. Hey, man, that's not my fault. But here's the thing. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some metrics. We're going to talk about how to make you successful. There's no cost. There's no obligation. There's no marketing. Let's get the show on the road. All right, so there's a lot of folks that are like, what are you talking about, George? What do you mean sellers are making a mistake? Yeah, sellers are making a mistake. Why? Because home sales are getting harder to close. One critical mistake. What is that mistake? Price. Said most agents surveyed, 77% to be exact, said the biggest mistake sellers are making right now is overpricing. When we roll down to the bottom there, it says the only homes that will sell with short days on market are the ones that are priced correctly to start with. I 100% agree with that. In fact, that's one of the things we talk about each and every week. Look, I have nothing to gain. I have nothing to lose. But to tell you the truth, and the truth is price. Price is always the first impression, always, of your home. They'll look at it, they'll say, yes, no, right? And then they'll look deeper or they don't. Price. And buyers are super smart. Look, they know what a good value is and they know what's not a good value. And if you're right on the edge, they're just going to let it sit until, well, you feel a little bit of pain on the market. When you feel pain on the market, feel a little bit more negotiable. The buyers feel like they have a little bit more power versus just handing over their wallet. That's a big deal. And for buyers then, they look at it as, hey, that is an absolute winner for us versus, the last 3 years, where we've just kind of, been lacking. It's actually a little more than that, but since about 2020, really, is when buyers kind of took second fiddle. Yeah, there were some moments like right now where buyers have a little bit more advantage, but it's still mostly a seller's market only because, rates are starting to come down, starting to see some more activity. And let's talk about that. So here we go. Mortgage apps dip, but demand is still running strong after September surge. It's a good thing that we're talking about real-time things. As you can see in the upper right, 30-year fixed mortgages. Hey, look, we are down. And that is awesome. When we say we're down, mortgage interest rates are down. It's been like one of the lowest over the last 3 years. It's super awesome. No, for those people that keep asking, are we going to see 3% mortgages again? The answer is no. That was artificially bought down. I do not foresee the Feds buying down the rates again, meaning they're buying mortgage-backed securities. Yes, the Feds do drop the commercial lending rate. When they drop rate, it's commercial lending, your home equity line of credit, your HELOC, your car loans, credit card payments, commercial lending and things like that, what banks lend to each other every day. That's totally different than what we're looking at, when we talk about mortgage rates, which are publicly traded. So bottom left, home prices are moderating in the Northwest Washington. Will it last? No, it's so super interesting, right? So when we talk about moderating, meaning that they're becoming a little bit not as volatile, they're starting to find kind of their even ground again. Again, remember the pendulum, which was swinging way over here to the seller side, is definitely come back to the middle. I really don't think it favors one side or the other, technically. Just some of the numbers say that it's more of a seller's market. I think it's more just right in the middle. We have just enough balance of homes. We're at about 3 months, just a tick over 3 months. But, it's just one of those things. And then, of course, when we come back here, we talk about mortgage rates quickly approaching long-term lows, which is good. Long-term, note that does not mean 2020. That absolutely means, we're just looking at what is historically normal, like even from 2019. We look at Freddie Mac. Freddie Mac says, hey, dude, look, we're down just a tad bit from last week. We're down 0.17 from a year ago. And as you can see our arrow there, we're heading in a downward trend. And that's super important, everybody, because in order for us to kind of get a little bit more of a kickstart with some of the buyers that are sitting on the sidelines, hey, that happens. Now, if you're saying, oh, George, the market, it's really bad right now. The answer to that is no, it's not. Heck, again, pricing is everything. We were at a house last week with some clients, and when we arrived for the open house, which is a very limited window, there had to be 20, 25 couples there. Look, if the market was that horrible, why would they be there? And then you say, oh my gosh, well, they were just fire sailing it. No, they weren't. Well-priced properties in desirable areas still see multiple offers. Well-priced properties. Remember that. Super important, because buyers are the makers of the market. Sellers are the takers. Market value is established by what a arm's length buyer is willing to pay and a seller is willing to accept. Okay? So keeping that in mind, let's move on, right? All right. So if we take a look at our charts here, and we take a look at our market time, what's surprising is that we're at 45 days. Last year at this time, we were at 38 days. But I guess really what is surprising, we're at 96% of list price versus where we were at last year at this time, which was 98. And you might say, George, what does that mean? Let's use $100,000, okay? If we have $100,000 and I sell it at 100% of list price, that means I listed it at $100,000 and I sold it at $100,000. If I'm at 96% of list to sales price, I listed $100,000 and I sold it at $96,000. Okay, so as those naturally numbers increase, we see that we're starting to see a little bit of an adjustment, a little bit of softening. And you're asking, is that normal, George? Are we starting to see a market crash? No, it's more seasonally normal. What is helping to kind of keep our numbers rolling, as you're going to see here shortly, is the fact that we've got lower interest rates. So when we take a look at these, let's just open this all the way up. Look, we had new on market. The average of the last 7 days, 929 homes came on market. Yay! And look at this. We have 1,049 homes that went pended. So that means that we are seeing more pended or homes going off market than coming on market, which is good. We're drawing down that inventory, seasonally normal. And that will start to pick up speed up until about Thanksgiving, subject to rates, and then it's going to start to taper off. And definitely the next 2 weeks into December, that really tapers off until about the end of February, really the 1st of March, when we hit our spring market. Now, when we take a look at price reductions, still a much larger percentage of homes in this circumstance, 920 homes that went and did a price reduction. Credit to them, super smart. You've got to meet what the buyer is willing to offer, get those eyeballs on the home itself so that you guys can make that move. That makes perfect sense to me. Now, again, as let's open this back up, we take a little bit deeper dive. Look, here's 2019 to 2025. Showed this chart last week, but it really shows, again, our market has been very consistent. The light green is homes available, the dark green is sold, and you can see even, when we exclude our shutdown and we had greater sales, but even in 2019, everything's situation normal. There's nothing crazy that's happening. Our market is still one of the top 5 sweet spots across the United States. We are still doing very well. And even as we start taking a look at some of the, I would say, outlying markets, which have an impact on statistics, even they are still doing well. But here's the key thing, right? Remember, hey, if you want super accurate information to make a really good decision, look, come in, subscribe, hit that bell, do us a solid, let us know that you like the information. More importantly, it's free. There's no marketing here. Let's talk about the market. If you're looking at buying or selling, if you know somebody's looking at buying or selling, here's really good information for you. We talk about each and every week in real time what's coming on market, what's going off market, what's happening, where are we trending year over year. Look, top chart, both of them almost 1% above where we were at last year. That's not any land speed record, but we're still doing well. When we take a look at the inventory for just the month of October up to the 17th, look, we're down just a couple of homes, not very many, 7 to be exact. And then, of course, as far as sales, we're down 173, but we have 125 more homes that went pending. And when we talk about that, that is kind of what we call a dynamic running number. So that tells us, again, we're still doing really well. More pending over last year. Yeah, we're lagging a little bit for what happened in September, but it's going to be the second half of September, which we're going to play catch up on those numbers because remember, we're always looking in the solds, we're always looking 30 days back. So keep that in mind. Now, as we come back and we take a look at our actual sales price numbers, hey, here we go. So year to date, we're up 1.1% where we were at 1 year ago. So again, no land speed record, but we're still doing really well. Even for the month of October, we're 1.7% more. Not that much, heck, that's what, $15,000 difference. But hey, it's still, again, heading in a positive direction. But look on the left-hand side, and we talk about the average sold price is up over last month. We're up 3.8%. So again, we're starting to see some of that recovery because September lags because we had, kids getting back in school. September always lags. And then we pick up towards the end of the month because things settled out. Now, let's head back. Let's take a look at new construction. Now, new construction, yeah, they slipped just a little bit. They've been, holding their own, but, they're definitely not making any land records. So as we can see, they're down about 13.1 as far as pending over year, and they're down 12% on sales. That has been a consistency. In fact, those numbers are a little bit better than they were last quarter, but still they're suffering a little bit. And then when we take a look at the month of October, look, pendings are up 4.7%. And then, of course, they're off about 41 homes as far as actual sales. Not uncommon. Again, new construction has been suffering this year, and that's primarily because we've had so many more resales coming on the market, which is direct competition, better areas, in my humble opinion, many times larger homes, bigger lots. Many of them have been updated or they can't update them, but with the return to work, people do not want to drive, 90 minutes to go to work anymore. So keep that in mind. Now, as we roll along, let's take a look at our pricing. Our pricing actually is looking very favorable, even though they offer a number of incentives. Year-to-date pricing is up 3.3%. Month over month, we're up 15.7%. And even from last month, sold prices are up 2%. Now, here's the thing. This is super important. If you're looking at buying new construction, if you're thinking, I want a new house, I don't want something somebody else lived in, I want new, I want fresh. Okay, now's the time. Get out there, make sure you're working with an agent that is familiar with working with new construction. There's a lot of plat programs as we get closer to year end where they have to move product because they're accountable to shareholders and whatnot. Listen, great time. Don't think you're going to negotiate price so much. It's the back end things, getting closing costs paid, buying down interest rate, getting, other amenities into the house. Those are things that are definitely on the table. Work with somebody who understands how to package that to get you what you need and want. Lot location, orientation, and whatnot in the plat, super important. Again, make sure the person you're working with understands those things. If they don't, well, sometimes that's not a very pleasant deal at the end of the game. All right, just saying. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about my favorite, REO Homes. I work with a number of different banks on a daily basis. Again, we only have 104, which is less than where we were at last year. We are actually down on actual inventory. Look at that. As far as inventory is like 6.7% less, that's 2 homes. The big one here, look, sales are up 28.6%. That's 4 homes. All right. Look at that. We have 100% increase in pending homes for the same month year over year. That's 12 homes. All right. Why is that important? Again, we are a little bit more insulated. We have very few foreclosures that are actually out there. There are some people that are making a lot of noise that really they use statistics. If you look at, just the statistics, when you take a look at foreclosures, they say, hey, look, sales are up 16.7%, or inventory coming on market for the year over year is up 16%. Okay, that's just a few homes. It's not many, right? On the big scheme of things, 3/4 of Washington State. Last week, definitely go watch last week's. We show the chart comparison. Heck, in 2010, there was one small pocket area. They had more homes, like 130 or 110. There was both of those numbers, actually, versus the 104 that we've got. That's peanuts. Just understand, banks go in, paint, carpet, and vinyl. They get the home all geared up. They get market value for it. They don't go in and discount properties like they probably do in other areas. Why? We don't have enough inventory sell, and they can get market value. So why not? That's what we push. That's what they push. Just makes the greatest amount of sense. In the meantime, if you have any questions, put it down below. Tell us where you're at. Tell us what you're looking for as far as information-wise. We'll get that off to you. Smash that subscribe button. Do us a solid there. Give us some feedback. In the meantime, we'll see you guys on the next video. Have an absolutely beautiful day. It's a little wet out there, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.